What's up, Drop Pod listeners? As always, you can listen to the Drop Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Pods. We are now on Apple Music, Audible, and Pandora as well. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can also find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on all of our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff, follow and listen along.
This episode is sponsored by the Law Office of Mallon and Tranger. Tom Mallon and Randy Tranger are board-certified trial attorneys who share more than 40 years of legal experience. They specialize in personal injury matters, workers' compensation cases, and criminal and municipal defense. As certified trial attorneys, they have recovered millions of dollars on behalf of people injured in accidents and employees injured at work. They have offices conveniently located in Freehold and Point Pleasant. For skilled and personalized legal representation, call Mallon and Tranger at 732-780-0230 or check out their website at tmallonlaw.com. Not only are they good people, they're good golfers too. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Kulat.
What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. Mike and I are recording just as Matty Fitz tapped in his putt to win at Harbor Town. So we're recording late on a Sunday and got some stuff to chat about this week. We got back safely from our spring breaks. We'll talk a little bit about that. We got Pat Wilson, 2022 Met Mid-Am champion, Jersey guy, went to St. John's, turned professional after college, bounced around for a little bit, talked about how, Mike, I was the process to become not a professional and a professional blew my mind, and I can't wait for you guys to listen. So we got Pat on at the end. He's today's guest, and Pat is a self-described late bloomer. I don't know how you can be a professional PGA Tour pro but be a late bloomer, but apparently you can. So we got that. So make sure you stick around for Pat at the end of the show. Mike, let's talk about the RBC. Thoughts on the final round today as it's just finishing up?
I mean, listen, shot for shot down the stretch. I think I turned it on the 12th hole and just sat on the couch and was glued to it. You know, whether it was Cantlay firing a few darts in there and then stumbling towards the end. His little wedgie that he had there where he chipped it over the green was unbelievable. And then to get up and down from that, not only just hit it, was crazy. And then Jordan just firing darts in there. But, you know, kudos to Matty Fitz. I mean, I know that when we had Chris Dimmick on in the month of December, he told the story about when Matty Fitz showed up to Manasquan River with the trophy, the U.S. Open trophy, in the passenger seat. Again, just a crazy story with Matty Fitz. Happy to see him win it. Good golfer, playing really well at a good time.
Yeah, I was obviously rooting hard for Jordan. I'm a Jordan guy. That's I think I made my declaration last week or 2 weeks ago about that. That's my guy. I really like him, but tough not to like Matty Fitz, and having him come play a local course is really, really cool. And his whole story, and it's not like I don't like him. I think my problem, Mike, is I like too many golfers. I think I got to define the line somewhere at some point, but Jordan's at the top, and again, not like I'm mad about Matty Fitz, 'cause I like him too, but I was rooting for Jordan. When you texted me, Mike sent me a text and it said, Google Patrick Cantlay wedgie. And I was like, what is going to come up on my phone right now when I Google this? What am I going to look at? Some little bit of Patrick Cantlay's behind there? I don't need to see that. But then to see how, where his ball landed and the shot that he made, absolutely incredible. I turned it on a little later than you, Mike, but how can you not like that golf? The 18th hole in regulation, playing 18 again, going to 17, going to 18. I mean, it was just great golf. Again, shot for shot, just great golfers making great golf shots. And then the pressure that mounts from each one. And again, it's just, I've said it all the time. Golf is a game of millimeters. And Jordan misses that putt on the first playoff hole by millimeters. I mean, the speed that it was going, 2 millimeters to the left maybe, I don't even know how many, but how that didn't drop, I don't know. It's such a close game, and just two great golf guys hitting great golf shots. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sure at this point, you know, it's Wednesday or Thursday when people are listening to this. So if you haven't seen the wedgie that Patrick Cantlay had to hit there on 14, you know, you're just, I don't know what you're doing. You need to Google that right this second. Stop what you're doing. But it did, you know, again, it went back to a lot of Patrick Cantlay being slow. You know, you could sense the frustration of Matty Fitz and Jordan. They seemed like they wanted to keep playing. I mean, no offense, Matty Fitz is lightning fast.
Oh my God.
That dude is doing, and I think he's a great example of slow play because he's doing all his work while the other guy is getting ready. Which
They showed
I think
a perfect example of that. When Jordan was taking all that time, he's like, do I want to hit the 8? Do I want to hit the 9? And he stood over it with the 9, and then he went back to Michael Greller. It was like, give me the 8. Matty Fitz is standing there holding a club like, ready to go.
And
Let's go.
That 100%. That's a great thing for the audience because you do your preparation while the other guy is hitting, so that when it's your turn, you go. And I hate to say it, like, and it's hard to argue because I know Cantlay came out today or this week and spoke like, well, listen, I'm a top 10 player in the world, so clearly it works. I understand that. Like, it's hard to argue that what I do is better than what Patrick Cantlay does because he's top 5 in the world. I am just a scrub playing in the local communities. Like, I get that. But, like, come on, Pat, you got to pick up the pace. You're not even in contention anymore. And he's still grinding and grinding. Yeah. But I get, Matty Fitz, he knows what he's hitting. He's ready to go, and he fires.
Yeah.
And
that's not even, like, in my eyes, that's the part of slow play. Like, you can be slower if you need to be more methodical, but you need to find places to pick up the pace then. You need to be doing things like while they're hitting, stay to the right, stay to the left, be in the rough, but be 15, 20 yards ahead. And then as soon as they hit it, start walking to your ball because you know that you need the extra time. You know, again, you're parallel with each other. You're hitting second. Start your preparation while they're preparing as well. You don't need to be waiting, watch the shot, and then, okay, now it's time for me to start. Start your shit earlier. Like, you can do all the stuff you need to. You can waggle over the ball. You can regrip. You can do whatever you want to. That's all stuff that makes you comfortable. That's not necessarily when people talk about slow play, like what I would say to change or what they would say to change. It's the other stuff that you can try to mitigate the amount of time that you're taking. Okay, get in front. Be ready to hit. And then hit. Like, Jordan hit, Matty Fitz hit in the playoff right away. Like, they were going and going and going. And again, Cantlay knows he plays slow, so you got to pick it up somewhere. And
yeah, and listen, I think I'll tell you the other thing I really, really loved watching is how the number 1 player in the world, he finishes, right? Not in contention. What's he do? John Rahm jumps on the telecast. He's now an analyst giving play-by-play on guys hitting shots, saying like, I don't think Jordan is going to hit this. I can't imagine Cantlay actually hitting the shot on 14 when the ball was wedged in there. Like, he's like, I can't. And he sounded like a seasoned pro.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me how John Rahm, who just came off an emotional victory at the Masters, was not in contention here at the RBC, but then still decided to give the telecast 30 minutes of solid play-by-play.
Yep.
Coming from the number 1 player in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I thought that, again, I think that's another reason why John Rahm is starting to get into, like, the everyday mix. I know he's a Spaniard and he's outside of America in terms of, like, being homegrown. He's becoming a household name. So if you said to John Rahm, a guy who doesn't know or watch golf, they're going to be like, oh, the dude with the beard? Yeah.
Yeah, that big hairy Spaniard.
Yeah, I love that about him.
Yep.
I love how he came on. He gave some analysis. Like, to me, I thought that was so, so cool. Hearing it from him, nonetheless, I thought was absolutely amazing. And his English, for somebody that's only really moved over here since he went to Arizona State, was really cool. And I did think the one thing that Trevor Immelman did say to him, like, so, now, John, I know you've had, like, a couple long stretches here, probably emotional. Like, when's the next time you're going to pick up a club? And his response was, I always say I'm going to give myself some time off, but I'm a golf junkie. I'll probably be out chipping tomorrow. That's why he's number one in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
There's a
amazing.
different level of crazy to be up there, you know?
Yeah, and it's just so he just relates to the average guy that just lives and breathes golf like us, and a lot of our audience does too. So, I mean, I thought that was great. I thought literally like probably the last hour and a half of the telecast was unbelievable. The golf was great. Matty Fitz knocking that shot on the third playoff hole. I mean, God, how pure is that?
Yeah. I mean, inches from going in. I think golf breeds itself to those kind of people. I think that a lot of golfers can jump on the telecast and talk about golf. Like they can be, they're charismatic enough, or however you want to say it. Like I think a lot of golfers fit into that realm, and some do it better than others. But when you see someone that doesn't do it well, someone like Patrick Reed, it's gonna come off as, wow, that guy's really a jerk because he really doesn't know how to communicate. Whereas a lot of them, I feel like do. I feel like you could walk into any clubhouse where they're having lunch and be like, hey, I need you on the telecast, and any one of them would do bare minimum a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, the PIP plays a lot of role in that.
Yeah,
a major role in that. The player impact program, where these guys know that the more they're out there, the more that social media and people interact with them, engage with them, like that only helps them at the end of the year when the PIP comes into play.
Right.
You know, like that, and I think that's why a lot of these guys are more open. Where in the past, you know, everybody says, "Oh, Tiger wouldn't do it. Tiger wouldn't do it." He didn't have to because it didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So you can't even say
it's not like he needed to get his people knew who Tiger was.
Right.
But I don't think any other sport could do that. Like, I don't think hockey could take someone who's hey, you're not going to play in the third period, or your day's over. You and put them in the booth and do that. Football, basketball, baseball does it a little bit. Maybe you could do it in baseball. They bring it into the dugout, and they have players now doing that. But I don't know. I don't know if any other sport does it as well, or has players that do it as well as golf does. Because I do think that all of them are good when they go in.
And do you think that is because golf, unlike other sports, are really just like an individual sport? So an individual is able to get on there and do it, where we're talking more team sports like. So you'd have to step away from your team, and the perception may be a little different.
I think they're used to talking about their sport because it's not, you know, like a lineman for football never has had to talk to a reporter ever. You know, from Pop Warner to high school to college, no one's ever been like, let me go talk to the center and see what he has to say. You know, like that's never happened. So I don't think, you know, and while
Except
some
Jason
of those
Kelce.
do, like
Jason Kelce has his own podcast.
Dude, I was just going to say, the Kelce Brothers podcast is awesome.
Yes,
and they do a great job. But I think that's the exception, not the rule in like other linemen, you know, compared to, whereas again, I think you could get just about any PGA Tour pro and you're going to get good content or good analysis or good whatever you're trying to get out of it. And you know, I don't know if any other sport is doing that. The other thing that I like that we're getting more in golf, and I know we're a Jersey podcast and talking about, you know, professional stuff right now, but I love the caddy player interaction. And I like that at the Masters, they had him putting in the earbud and talking to Rory and Max Homa. I don't know if anybody else was in. And then hearing in the playoff today, the relationship between Michael and Jordan. Oh, I didn't even mean to do that, and I just did that. Hearing them talk back and forth, and then Jordan wants to go away for the 9-iron, go to the 8-iron. Like, hearing that banter, I really like that a lot. And even if you want to go one step further to what Max Homa did in the Masters, go into like what he was talking about, where all three of them were on the green and they were all, like we just talked about, doing their work ahead of time. I find that super, super interesting. And I really like that we get an inside look at that. Seems like recently more than we have in the past. I hope that continues.
And I think, and I think that goes back to some of the things that you and I have spoken about on the podcast before, is there's been pros about LIV coming around. Mm-hmm. It's forced the PGA Tour to get out of the old man thinking and evolve a little bit.
Yeah.
And all these ideas are brand new. And if you check golf Twitter, it is all positive. there's still going to be their negative people, but those people you can just click the block button on because they're just ridiculous. They wouldn't like anything, regardless of what it is. But even on golf Twitter, yeah, everybody on golf Twitter, it's like love the interaction, love the hear the talk, the whole nine is
right. Yeah, I'm not saying anything that nobody
great.
Doesn't. Yeah,
the evolution's great, perfect. And I think it was much needed. And I'll leave. This will be my wrap up. I'll let you finish it after this. It would be unbelievable, right? Next week is the Zurich, right? And it's two teams, guys. Matt Fitzpatrick is playing with his younger brother, Alex. He got a sponsor's exemption, so he's in. If Matty Fitz pulls this off and wins the Zurich next week with his brother would then get his own PGA Tour card.
How awesome is that?
Dude, how sweet would that be?
And again, like,
his brother's probably saying,
I'm rooting for that. That's who I want to win next week. Who doesn't want that story? If you don't want that, you're the curmudgeon that we just were talking about. That's the greatest.
I get it. The betting favor will be Cantlay and Schauffele. I get it. They're back. They're returning champs. Like, I get it. They're very good. But, I mean, find me a better story than these two. I'm sure his brother Alex is sitting home and says, dude, you couldn't do this next week?
Right?
You couldn't do it when I'm with you? We get to be out here all the time.
What are the odds of winning back-to-back weeks? Yeah.
Oh, listen. Let's go Matty Fitz and Alex next week at the Zurich.
That is going to be good banter. Like, I hope that they keep the earbuds in for a long time with them, because as he hits a shot, be like, I guess you don't fucking want me on the tour with you. That would be good. Two brothers that are arguing. That would be funny.
Dr. Mike Pomacala at Sports Solutions Physical Therapy and Performance Development is located in Middletown, New Jersey. A Titleist Performance Institute medical practitioner, Dr. Mike uses a hands-on approach with his clients to get them out of pain and back onto the golf course. No pain, no problem. Assessments are available for golfers looking to improve flexibility, power, strength, stability, and overall efficiency with their golf swing. Don't let dysfunction disrupt your swing. Schedule an evaluation with a TPI physical therapist and check out Dr. Mike at sportsolutionspt.com and on Instagram at sportsolutionspt.
So, Mike, another thing I wanted to talk about was we got back safely from spring breaks. We survived. We're back home, rocking and rolling. I played more golf than you. I know that. But I think that you played a better course than I did. You want to start or do you want me to?
I mean, I can start. I mean, I wish I had as much to talk about as you did in terms of how much you got to play. But went down to Jupiter to visit mom and dad, with the wife and two kids. And weather was absolutely atrocious. I don't know how else to spell it out. Everybody told me, 8 weeks before, it hasn't rained at all. Well, every single day it rained while we were there. So I had gotten an invite to go play Medalist. And I was one of the places that's like a bucket list spot. Tiger's Place. You see Brooks is there and Justin Thomas, and you know all these other pros. Ricky basically lives out there. They're all
spent a lot of time there recently too.
Yeah, all over there. You see the pictures. Walking through the whole clubhouse itself was unbelievable. The pictures of everybody on the walls. The pro shop having every brand name, simple logo on their shirts. Like, it was perfect. And then, the weather wasn't the greatest, but, we went out there and played. And before we played, we actually sat down and had lunch. And, I knew that who we were playing with. I didn't know them in a sense of who the other guests were. And I go to sit down at the table, and a listener of ours says, are you Mike from the Drop Podcast? And I said, I am. He's like, oh, I'm a huge fan. I listen every Wednesday. Love the fact that your episodes come out. It gives me something to listen to, and I know it's coming out every Wednesday. And I thought like the member had already told him about it, and It was setting me up for some like gotcha joke. He's like, no, I follow on Instagram. Love the stuff you guys put out. I love the fact that when I wake up Wednesday and I'm driving to work, I can throw the podcast on. He's like, I got a couple that I listen to. And I looked at the member. I said, "Are you pulling my leg here? Like, what the hell?" I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, he told me about the podcast, and I had to tell him about how my dad was on the podcast, and I was just like going back and forth. He's like, I'm like, wow, this is absolutely crazy, but I appreciate you listening. So I want to give a quick little shout out to John Crawford, listener, follower, and to John's credit, dude, he can play too. 2 index, got that ball around the golf course very nicely.
Wow.
Hits it a mile. So I mean, it was a good day. It sucked that it rained after about like 14 holes. I was ready to bail because it was pouring so hard. But we only had a few holes left, so we kind of sucked it up and teed it up. But I will say this about the course: for as hard and as much as it rained, there were no puddles. Going back to where Tiger tees off and has his own what they call Tiger tees, and the carries on some of those was absolutely ridiculous. I'd be dumping it in the water, not even reaching certain spots. The place, just the aesthetics of it is unbelievable. It was unfortunate that you played it in a day like that, but fingers crossed that I would one day get that invite back on a nicer day. But I did, for the record, I did shoot 83, 43 on the front. I was 7 over through my first 6 holes. Then I made pars on 7, 8, and 9. And then I shot 40 on the back 9. I only made 1 birdie, and I finished with bogey, bogey, bogey coming in. So it wasn't the greatest round in terms of numbers, but the experience, the driving range, bro, Titleist Pro V1Xs, all brand new. I look over at John and say, hey, listen, what if I put a couple of these balls in my bag? No one even know. I didn't do it, but it was, but newer balls than the ones I play with, I'll tell you that.
Mike, I know that you got to say you didn't do it, but we're on the Zoom here. You can tell me. Give me a little wink. Blink twice if you did do it.
I was so hesitant because I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get in trouble at all. So I literally left them all there. I hit my chunked wedges and sculled irons all around the place. But it was a great introduction when I sat there and met John for the first time and the member. And then getting out there to play 18 holes. It was an unbelievable golf course. You can see why so many of those people, professional-wise, are over there. The view coming up 18 with the clubhouse right there in the backdrop is like a picture to die for. And then, it made me really think about the match when Tiger played with Phil and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and they all sat there on the 18th green, and right in the backdrop was the clubhouse right there at Medalist. It was like, it made me reminisce of like, oh, I remember this hole on the TV, and I remember this. Some of the tee boxes, the way they're set up kind of like on a little island in the swamp. It was just the little things about the golf course. The bunkers were like maybe 12 inches wide, and it was like sometimes like just a long strip of a bunker. Oh. Just aesthetically, like I was like, dude, this is so pure and so money.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, it was an experience, one I'll never forget. I did take a lot of pictures. I didn't post many. I wanted to be respectful in terms of I wasn't 100% certain how much the cell phones were really allowed out there. So, I kind of stayed away from posting many things, which is why, people may say, well, I didn't see anything. It's, I wanted to be respectful. But all in all, unbelievable golf course. That was the extent of me playing golf the entire time in Jupiter, Florida, with all the amazing golf courses there.
Yeah, I felt really bad. Obviously, we were texting through, and you were just getting pounded with weather. It's just like, how much does it suck that you go on vacation, and it's to a place that hardly ever gets rain, and it's raining the week you're there. It rains probably 6 days all year, and it rained all 6 the days you were there.
And then you check home, and it's 80 degrees and sunny,
yeah.
And you're saying, "What the hell am I doing?" But that was it. Let me hear a little bit about yours. I know you got fortunate to play a lot of golf and a lot of good golf.
Yeah, I played. I did. I took a trip down to my mom's. She's she's starting to dabble in like the snowbird thing, where she's up here part time, down in North Carolina part time, right outside Myrtle Beach. So I actually I started my week at Clemson. Family friend goes there, so I went and visited him. I say this to we were out the night before, him and his friends and I, and I said it to all of them. I don't know how people go visit Clemson and don't fall in love with it. It has everything. I mean, the only thing I would think of is if you're truly looking for like a downtown city area, like a city. But even its downtown area, it's downtown. It's definitely it's got bars, restaurants, shopping. It's got stuff. That would be the only thing, is if you were looking for like an NYU or a DePaul or University of Chicago or one of these city schools where it's purely city. It's the only thing I would think of, because it is stunningly beautiful. It's just an incredible, such a special place down there. I kept telling them that. It really is. The people there, the vibes there, the scenery, the atmosphere, everything is just, it's a special place. That is nothing to do with the type of school, like the education that you're getting there, which is also a top notch, but just everything else is it's beautiful. Anyway, I got to play the Walker course there, it's called. This course is incredible. It's my second time playing it. It's the #1 college golf course in America. It's a top 10 course of the Southeast, and it does not disappoint. It is an incredible golf course. To think that students get to play there as much as they want to, and it's not even the course that Clemson University plays. It's just like their on-campus golf course. It's awesome. There's some really cool holes. It's highlighted by the 17th hole, a par 3, it's a tiger paw. I know I texted you that and you were like, I don't know what that is. It's you have you're teeing up over water to this. It's not necessarily an island green, but it's like a peninsula green. And it's the green, and then it's got 4 like individual bunkers behind it, kind of look like a paw. And we hit it right at like 7 o'clock, 7:30. So the sun's setting over the lake that's behind it. It was beautiful. It really was. I posted a picture of it.
I mean, that picture itself, when I saw that picture on your Instagram, and then I saw the video that will eventually come out of you playing the hole, like that picture made me sit there at home when I was at home and you were sending me that, like, oh man, how pure does that look? And forget about the golf, just the view and the landscape, the sun setting. It was like, I mean, that's like something you hang on the wall.
It really was. And Mike, you know that golf pictures on your phone never do it justice. It was, so if you're saying that from that picture, which again, I think it was a great picture, it was so, I mean, it was a religious experience being out there at that time of day. It was beautiful, dude. It really was. A great round with my buddy, his 2 friends. We had a great time out there. It was really, again, such a special experience there. So I'll put that video out, flaws and all, but it was a perfect evening for golf there, and a great round. And it was funny, we were talking Augusta National with one of his friends who knows the course well, and I will say he was spot on, because I was trying to, I didn't want to pry, but I did want to hear some stories, and the one thing that I took away that I do want to share is that he said the winner, I said, how's it going to play? What do you think the winner is going to be? He's like, I think it's going to be like 12 under and he's going to win. And what was the winner?
12 under.
There you go. I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
Really cool. So to my guys, I hope they're listening. I had a great time. I know I told you that. Thank you guys for having me out there. And then I made my way back to Mom's down, again on the ocean there, and I played Legends Heathland. I played Oyster Bay. Those are 2 Legends properties. Legends has 3 courses on it in Conway, just outside Myrtle Beach. I believe it's Heathland, Moreland, and I'd have to look up the other one that are on. There's 3 courses on this one property, and then they also own Heritage Club, which is down on Pawleys Island by Caledonia and True Blue, and they also own Oyster Bay, which is in North Carolina. Heathland was beautiful. It's the best of those 3 that are there. I had such a cool round with these guys. I got paired up. I just kind of walked on, and I got paired up with these three guys from Canada. And I get in the car. I check in. I'm running late. I check in. They throw me on the cart with the guy, and I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And he doesn't speak any English. He only speaks French. So.
Well,
So I drive next to this guy, and I'm literally thinking,
Google Translate.
right, this is going to be an interesting round if we're going to have this community. Nice guy, like he was clearly like, I don't speak English. This is going to be awkward, but nice to meet you, and it was pretty funny. And then we get up to the other cart that we're with, and it turns out it's the three of them. They're from Montreal, and I switch, and I end up playing with the son of one of those guys, and it was like a dad, a friend, and then I played in the cart with the son. The son knew English, and good guys, good golfers. It was a fun day. It was really an interesting experience hearing about like some of the different things that we call it. Like you and I go out, like, hey, let's play a match today. You know, what kind of match you want to play? You want to play Nassau? You want to play best ball? You want to play? What do you want to play? We call it a match, though. They called it a game. They continued to call it a game, and it just, I guess it is, but it just was like. It's just something different that like we don't say here. They called it a match. We were calling it a game.
I have heard that in the past. Like I have heard people call it a game. Like, oh, you got a game today.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't. I guess I would have thought that referred to like, do you have a group that you're playing with? Mm-hmm. Not like a game, as in like what is the game that we're playing?
Right. We're out here playing a game. Like it was. Again, there were a couple things that were interesting about it, like he was talking about how he had a White Claw. He's like, the White Claw here tastes so much better. You know why? Because White Claws in Canada don't have sugar.
Really?
These White Claws had sugar. So he was like, the White Claws in Canada are 0 calories because they don't have sugar, apparently. Ours, he's like 100 calories. Like, what's the difference? And he's like, this is so much sweeter. It was just kind of funny that like, there are neighbors to the north. They should be. It was just funny the differences, but they were great guys as well. I had a blast.
Now we're partners with Lynx Drinks. We should have sent them a Lynx drink. Little transfusion in a can.
Yeah.
The Transfusion Cocktail is the golf club classic you know and love. For years, golfers had looked forward to this drink at the turn or in the clubhouse. Now, Lynx Drinks has created a brand of ready-to-drink transfusion vodka canned cocktails. The classic is made with vodka, ginger ale, and grape juice. The front 9 with orange juice and the back 9 with cranberry juice. All 3 are 7% ABV, gluten-free, and are made with natural ingredients and no preservatives. Lynx Drinks transfusions are sold in foursome packs at over 3,000 locations and available in 16 states. Just grab it and go for a perfect tasting cocktail every single time. On the course, the beach, a boat, or a barbecue at home with family and friends, you can now enjoy this golf tradition anywhere. We think it will become your new favorite cocktail on or off the links. Enjoy life. Enjoy Lynx Drinks.
So that was fun. You know, we started talking about the podcast a little bit. He's like, "Hey, I got a 16-hour drive. I'm going to give it a listen." So hopefully they're listening, guys. Hope you got back safe. Had a great time with you. Thanks for letting me tag along, and had a great game with you. The last course that I played was Oyster Bay, and it was, you know what? I wasn't going to play Oyster Bay. I really wanted to play. It's not the last course I played, but this course that I played was Oyster Bay, and I wasn't going to play. I wanted to play Tidewater, but it was supposed to rain in the afternoon, so I was like, let me just go somewhere quick where I can get out. And I'm glad I did. They had a couple really cool holes. With those videos will come out, but there was a drivable par 4 uphill over water, but this enormous bunker was protecting the green from it. There was another par 3 with, again, 2 guys. You know, I got paired up with those 2 old guys from the Muppets were my partners that day, and it was just like where their tees were compared to my tees. Like, we were both hitting over water, but they had about 20 yards of carry over water, and both dunked like 4 or 5 balls in the drink. I had about a 210-yard carry over water. It to like this island green, which was really, really cool. Saw an enormous alligator. I sent the picture to some. It's the biggest alligator I've ever seen in person. which again, my alligator experience is not very, it's not pro level, but I've seen a few in person. I mean, it was legitimately a 6, 7, 8 foot alligator. I mean, it was really, really big. It was taking a nap, so I was able to get pretty close and take some pictures, but it was pretty cool looking. That was a good day. It wasn't very long, so unfortunately I could do my best Bryson DeChambeau, throw the driver out as far as I could and have wedges in and run into some pars occasionally. But the course I did want to talk about was Thistle Golf Club. 27 holes, 3 nines. It was beautiful. I met some great people there that were just like I was a single. They sent me out by myself. So I was really hoping I didn't get a hole-in-one that day. And I roll up to the tee, and there was guys that just teed off. They were like, "Hey, why don't you go in front of us? Like, you're gonna be waiting for us." And I was like, "You guys sure?" So played on through them. It was just like really nice fellas. Course was in beautiful, beautiful shape. It was definitely the nicest shape of all the courses that I played down there. Maybe outside of Walker, but when I say down there, talking about like the Myrtle Beach area, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to go back and play it again. I would say, we've talked about how far you would travel to go play a course. I think it's an hour and a half travel. I think it was really, really great. Couple really cool holes on there. Saw some baby alligators, which were adorable. Saw a snake.
Any pets? Did you take one home?
I didn't take any home. No. It wouldn't. The one I did see, it wouldn't have lasted. So my dog would have thought it was a chew toy. That's how small it was.
Your dog would have ended up inside the alligator.
But the one I saw at Oyster Bay, for sure, I would have been inside that alligator. But alligators are dinosaurs, Dwight. You know that, right?
Listen, I would take the little baby alligator over your dog.
You've never met my dog.
I don't care. I've seen alligators. Those things are fucking scary. Give me the alligator over the dog.
So it was an incredible course. What was really cool was they let my mom had some free time. She did some baking and stuff like that, and then wanted to come out. So they drove her out. So we drove around for a little while. I put up my Instagram live. I was wearing my fluke hat. That's where I was. I just put out or just finished up. We're gonna put Orion's verse out there. It was beautiful. It really was. It was aces. It was such a good time, vibe, course. Everything was beautiful. I really, really liked it. No real special hole, like no tiger paw hole or anything like that. The pro shop was enormous, though. I don't think I've ever seen a pro shop this big. It was so spacious. Not even that they had a lot of stuff in it. It was just so big and spaced out, and had a nice cocktail afterwards, sat down, and like a couple of the holes, like you could sit down. They had like these rocking chairs that they were taken, so I wasn't sitting in them. So I was sitting at a table, but like the 9th green was coming in to my left. People were teeing off in between. There was another 9 green there, and then people were teeing off going the other way. So like I saw a whole bunch of action. I think that's one where it's not quite like True Blue has a famous one where there's like a balcony over the 18th hole where you can just watch. I would spend hours and hours there gambling over people hitting the green or not. But this wasn't quite like that. But you could watch some good action while you had some time out there. Really, really was a beautiful course. I can't. If you're in the Myrtle Beach area, go. Thistle's a must play.
Did you get any merch?
I'm disappointed in myself because I am a merch guy. I like to get golf balls from where I play. I don't know what my policy is with the golf balls. Like I don't have one from Shark River because I play that all the time, or any of the county courses here in Monmouth County. But I should have gotten one from Thistle. I should have. I thought that was a really good. That would be one where when I go back, I'll definitely get a golf ball. That's worthy. That's golf ball worthy to put up there. But no, I didn't get any merch. You know why, Mike? I think with Mom living down there, in the foreseeable future, or at least I have the opportunity to go whenever I want to, I think it means less getting merch knowing that I'm going to have multiple opportunities to get merch. You know what I mean? So
Makes sense. It makes sense.
yeah, but I again can't recommend Thistle enough. It was amazing, really was.
Well, it sounds like you had a great spring break, and I'm glad the weather was good. And I did take a peek at your gin, and I saw the scores were posted. I know they weren't posted right away, so I know I jumped right up on you to make sure.
Busted my balls immediately, and it took me.
And I know that you took offense. I know you took offense to that. Like, will you give me a second to breathe? But I knew there had been hours that passed by before you played, and nothing was posted. And I'm a hawk for that stuff.
Yeah.
My dad will be the first one to say that. Like, I look, you tell me you play. The score better be posted, and it wasn't right away, and you got mad when I called your ass out on that.
I was, because you know why? Because I was sitting, I think, is that when I played Thistle, I think? I was sitting there, I was having my cocktail, and I was just enjoying, just like, I hadn't looked at my phone, like I did that live video, I recorded some stuff, but otherwise, like, my mom was there for a little bit, I didn't look at my phone all day, so I'm just on my phone, kind of scrolling through, catching up on, texts from friends or Instagram stuff, just scrolling and just bullshitting. And again, I guess you got to believe it if I'm saying I'm not a sandbagger. I'm going to put it in. But like, yeah, you jumped on me and I was like, I'm sitting here having a relaxing fucking time and you're going to bust my goddamn balls with this shit? You mother.
I knew that you had played. And I was like, oh, I wonder how he played. And I always like to know what people shot when they tell me they played because I don't want to be an asshole and be like, oh, how'd you play? And you played awful because no one wants to get that text. And, dude, I shot 95. I don't want to talk. And well, I didn't see anything posted.
Well, that was funny because I had texted you saying, like, my score was an 89 at Thistle. And it was funny because you saw the score and then I was telling you about how I played. I had tap-in bogeys left and right. I thought I hit the ball great. I don't think I missed... I must have hit 11, 12 fairways. The irons from the fairway, I thought I hit them great. Like, I hit them solidly. They just were missing the green. Like, I'm not used to my new, like, with Dr. Mike and having my hips go and everything. Like, I'm still getting used to what my ball flight is. So while I'm used to aiming maybe a little left to have my fade hit the center of the green, I'm not adjusted to it yet, so it misses the green right. So then I chip on, and I don't, and I miss the 7-footer, and then I have a tap-in bogey. So like I had those, like I can't tell you that 89 was the easiest 89 that there's ever been. I got 83s, and I got two 83s, an 88 and an 89. And again, I thought they all were. I feel like my ball striking is significantly better than it was last year already. And I'm thanking Dr. Mike and the TPI stuff. I really am.
Well, listen, he said he'd get you down to a scratch, and your handicap to start the season is already trending on a downward level. So clearly, there's evidence right there to what Dr. Mike is doing is working. So hopefully that can continue.
Yeah, I said it when we had Dr. Mike on. I think it's going to take some range sessions or working it out, on the course a little bit, and it clearly is because. I feel really good about how my ball striking was. My putting wasn't really there, but I don't think I hit bad putts. They were just, I didn't hit any 8-footers, 8, 10-footers. They just were all tap-in bogeys. So yeah, scores posted, and I'm looking forward to getting out there again whenever we do.
Yeah, listen, we got an exciting couple weeks out ahead of us, and people got to follow, listen along. I know you say that all the time at the beginning, but there's a lot of exciting things coming up. So, hopefully people are following on Instagram at @thedrop_pod. Hopefully you're following on or listening along on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume all these podcasts because exciting things lie ahead.
We do. We really, really do. There's the foreshadowing. So that's all we got for you today. We got Pat Wilson coming on next. I previewed him in the beginning. Again, college player, former professional, now turned back to amateur. You should listen to this just to hear about how to become a professional golfer and how easy it is.
And I think the one thing I'll tease again, I know I just teased about what we got coming up, but I want to tease this interview real quick because the story Pat tells about him and Tiger on the range at the United States Open, U.S. Open is an unbelievable story that you got to listen to the interview.
Yeah, and Mike, I don't think I said that Pat played in the U.S. Open as what he's a stud golfer and great time talking to him. So again, stick around. Pat's coming up next. Enjoy the interview.
All County Exteriors is a third-generation premier exterior home remodeling company celebrating over 40 years in business. In a remodeling world where the average remodeling company only survives in business for only 5 years, All County Exteriors has stood the test of time, providing their customers with top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. They service homeowners and builders with anything from small repairs to large additions. All County Exteriors is not just limited to construction. They have a deep passion for giving back to their community and are charitable supporters of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no-obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. So boy, oh boy, do we have ourselves a treat here tonight. We got none other than Pat Wilson as our guest on today's episode. Pat is the 2013 NJ SGA Player of the Year. He was also the Met Am champion that year as well. Turned pro in 2014, which he then qualified for the 2015 U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. And then more recently, in 2022, Pat received his amateur status back, which he had a huge summer. He was the Met Mid-Am champion. He was a quarterfinalist at the Farrell. He was team champs at the Ike with an earlier guest, Mark Costanza. He finished 6th at the NJ SGA Amateur. He was T11 at the NJ SGA Open. And another big one where he qualified for the USGA Mid-Am and then advanced to the round of 64. Pat, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show here. I got a ton of questions and I can't wait to get started. So thanks again for hopping on here.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate it, Pat. Pat, I'd like to start off before Mike does. I want to ask you what restaurant in Sellingsgrove, Pennsylvania, you like best.
Oh man,
is it BJ's or is it the other one? Because I also spent my first freshman year at Susquehanna.
No kidding.
Yeah, I played basketball there for, like I said, my first freshman year. I had 3 of them. And I was well versed in whatever nightlife there was at Susquehanna.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on there, but I have to say I definitely would say BJ's was my favorite spot. There wasn't a whole lot of selection, but it was definitely BJ's, I would say.
It's either BJ's or that other one, and that other one is a Central Pennsylvania dive bar. It's a rough one.
Yeah,
I
only had 1 year there, so it made it a little tough to, I wasn't drinking alcoholic beverages at 18. So
yeah, I wasn't supposed to be either. I mean, I wasn't either. But when Mike said you were coming on the show, and I took a look, I thought it was funny that you went to Susquehanna as well. And just a small world. I went there too, and it was such a beautiful campus.
It was.
It's a nice place, but I needed a more stuff going on if I wasn't playing basketball.
Yeah, it was a little small, and it just school was great, and the opportunity, because I was a late bloomer in high school. It was the only offer I had to play college golf, and then after my freshman year, I got an opportunity to go to St. John's, and that's kind of where it took off.
So that I was going to ask you that. What brought you to Susquehanna? But we'll get into the late bloomer thing, I'm sure. But that's if you only had one offer to play in college, it's kind of, if you want to play college golf, then your options are limited.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go there. I mean, because you went to a public high school, and then where does the golfing fit in? Like, Listen, I try to do the most research I can in terms of digging things up, but I couldn't like find anything from when you were in high school. So why don't you tell us a little bit about like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you went to Newton High School. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Yeah, and
almost in
then
PA.
It's out there.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
and then to Susquehanna. Then obviously, I felt like as I started doing my research, finding things from like Susquehanna, you had a really good year, which then kind of like I guess translated into St. John's. So connect the dots there for me.
All right, sure. So going way back, like actually my freshman year of high school, I had hardly ever played golf. I only played like, a couple times a year growing up, and then started caddying at 14 at Panther Valley. And I just wanted to spend all the time at the golf course I could. Freshman year of high school, I actually got cut. I didn't even make the high school team. I was probably like shooting around 100 at, I guess, 14. And then my 14th birthday, I got my working papers and started caddying at Panther Valley that upcoming summer. And I like lived there. Like Mondays, I was playing all day. My parents would just drop me off. I'd play golf all day, and then finally convinced my dad to join Panther Valley, and that's kind of where it all took off. Like I went from barely being able to break 100 to about a 6 handicap, I would say, in about a summer, and then by the time I worked my way through high school, locally in northern New Jersey, it's the competition at public school isn't really super strong, but played decent enough that I was able to get a look to play at Susquehanna, which was really my only offer, which is obviously a small D3 school in central PA. And I kind of jumped on it. I love the school, and that's kind of where it kind of started. I won the county tournament. It's not even a thing anymore. The SCIL festival my senior year, and then made it to Tournament of Champions, I think 2 or 3 years in high school, and never really played well at TOC because that seemed to be like the biggest tournament I'd ever played in. But so it, and that I got an opportunity at Susquehanna, and that's really where it kind of took shape. And then one thing led to another. I played decent at Susquehanna, and I got an offer to play at St. John's, and the rest was kind of history.
Yeah, I mean, how does the door, I guess, open up? Because a lot of the times we get questions from kids that will reach out to us and say like, like they're not getting looks that they may like, or, they don't want to go to D3 because, I'm a much better golfer than D3. But like for someone like you that's gotten to the top, you've kind of went to the public school route, which some of the kids that we get DMs from are in the private schools and think that's their only way to go. But like you went New Jersey public school, like you went D3, and then you got eventually to the top. Like what did you see or end up doing practice wise or playing wise that translated from a D3 Susquehanna to like a Division I Big East school like St. John's? I mean, we just had Ryan McCormick on the other day, and I'm pretty sure that you guys crossed paths at one point there.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark ended up at St. John's. Keegan Bradley was at St. John's. So it's not some like, Joe Schmo type Division I program. You got some really big time names there. So like, what kind of transpired at Susquehanna to get to St. John's?
So I think it was just like still developing my skills, and like, I dedicated a lot of my time to playing golf, especially during the summer. So, I mean, in high school, I would play like the New Jersey PGA, junior tour and stuff like that. Tried to play in like the Met Junior and things like that. Like I tried to qualify for everything, but I ultimately fell short, it seemed like, in high school. And then after my freshman year at Susquehanna, I maybe had a little bit more confidence, and I qualified for the state am, and it was at Montclair in 2010. And I don't think I'd ever broken 70 in a tournament. And I shot in the third round. I made the cut. I think I shot even the first round, shot 76 the second round. So I was like doing all right. And then out of nowhere, I don't even know what happened, I shot 65 in the third round. And I couldn't even tell you like what really transpired that day, but that's kind of where the confidence came from. And ultimately, I lost in a playoff to Brian Comline, who's like a, state great player. And kind of the rest was history from there. Like I grew up with, like I knew Ryan from tournaments throughout like New Jersey, and in high school, we were only a year apart. I was a year older. And another Sussex County kid, Jeremy Quinn, he was playing at St. John's, and he actually caddied for me in that state am, and he said, we have a spot at St. John's, and if so I started talking to Coach Darby, who's ultimately recruited me, and that was kind of it. So it was just kind of one thing led to another, and the play just continued to get better, and just it's all between the ears, as crazy as it sounds. And like the sky's kind of the limit when you kind of prove yourself. You can feel like you can really do this, and it kind of took off from there.
Yeah, I mean, shooting 65 definitely going to open a lot of eyes, no doubt about it.
For
and then,
sure.
And then having the connection of a friend that's on the bag for you, knowing that a spot's open at St. John's, obviously that gets the ball rolling in the right direction. So I mean, then after St. John's, okay, you turn pro, right?
Yeah, the 2014, January of 2014.
After having a huge summer in 2013.
Correct.
So obviously you're feeling very good. I mean, you win the Med Am, that's no joke. NJSGA Player of the Year, no joke. Like, obviously big time things. Kind of, one of the things that Dottie Pepper said to us when we interviewed her is like, she was always told, like, win at home. If you can dominate and win at home, like, that's how, like, the first stepping stone to, something bigger or potentially better. So, like, I kind of see that with you. Like, you played very well here, in the Met area in New Jersey. So you turned pro in 2014, and then you qualify for the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. Why don't you give the audience a little bit of qualifying in that whole thing before we even get to Chambers Bay?
That was a pretty crazy day because, as you guys know, qualifying is there's 2 rounds of qualifying. The first round is 18 holes, for however many spots. And then sectional qualifying is 36 holes one day. And they say it's like the longest day in golf, which I have to say it probably is. It's extremely grueling. It's usually really hot because it's in early June. And it's just the most exciting day because, as freshly turning pro, like, this could open some doors. And I had made it through sectionals. Shockingly, I have a very good record at local qualifying. I think I've made it through like 8 of the last 9 years or something kind of crazy. Like, so the first year, I got through, I was just kind of shell shocked to be like in that position. But I want to say that was like 2011 or 12. And then, by the time I got there in 2015, I was like, I've been here before, I think just play your best and just try to enjoy the experience, see what can happen. Cause it's such a long day. Just try to eliminate big numbers. And so I went out, it was at Old Oaks and Century up in Westchester, which are 2 difficult golf courses, which I had played sectionals before. And I started at Old Oaks, and I was actually in the first group of the day, which ended up being very beneficial. There was no real rain in the forecast, and we're through like a couple holes, and it just starts downpouring. And I'm at Old Oaks, which is like super like tree line, narrow golf course, crazy greens. And I was playing all right. Like, it was raining. I'm not usually one to like love playing in the rain, but you just kind of have to embrace it. And it starts pouring. And I ended up getting done with the first round, and I remember I shot 71, which was 1 over, and really didn't feel like I felt like I played well. And, I still shot over par, but I was like, usually the numbers close to even at Old Oaks and Century. So I was going to Century, which is a course I think suits my eye a little bit better. It's not quite as narrow. The greens aren't quite as crazy. And I just got out, it stopped raining and I just, played solid. I was just like fairways, greens, not really making it too difficult on myself. And, by the time I got done, it was so early. I knew what other guys had shot in the morning, but I really wasn't paying attention to what the leaderboard was like, because it was so early and I was in the first group. And the wind picked up considerably, like towards the end of my round. And by the time I got done, I remember I had like 8 feet for birdie on 18 at Century to shoot 68. And I left it like a roll short, but I was like shaking over the putt because I knew it probably had a chance. And I somehow I left it short. I just figured with all the nerves and everything, I probably would have blasted it by, but I left it hanging on the lip. And then probably the next 3 to 4 hours were the most stressful hours of my life. I mean, it was just
That's wild.
I got done and I just stared at the leaderboard for hours and just, kept refreshing the page. And there were guys that were ahead of me that kept, they kept coming back. They kept coming back. And like, then I'm like, wow, I might need to gear up for like a playoff because there's only 4 spots. And sure enough, I'm sitting on the patio and I'm like, just can't believe what had happened. And turns out it was good enough to get in. I got in clean and kind of the rest that it was, I don't even know. I think I might have been in tears when it happened. Like it was so crazy.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. So Pat, you're just sitting there for like 3 hours?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, there was nothing to do besides just look at the leaderboard as long as I could and see what, what other guys were doing. Just kind of, you don't want to root against people, but I have to say I was like, you only have to make
you're definitely rooting against people. I don't want to have to say that. I don't want to say it out loud, but I was definitely rooting
He's
against
refreshing
people.
the page saying, just tell me the next number is a 6 or 7. Refresh.
Even just a bogey would have been fine.
Yeah.
And it just
right.
It happened to pan itself out and 71-69 gets in. And it was just it was just so crazy because it all happened so quick. Because once you qualify, it's like a week and a half until the tournament starts. And it was, it was a cross country flight. So I had to figure that stuff out. But I just remember in like afterwards when they were taking pictures and just doing like quick interviews, they were like, you're going to the US Open. And I still like kind of couldn't believe it. So it was a pretty crazy day and it's something I'll never forget. And it's always probably the one day that I get so jacked up for, during the season. Cause it's just, the opportunity to play in a major championship is pretty serious. And, there's some great players and, you can have some memories that last a lifetime. And you could also have like a week that changes your life and, your whole career path. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for me, but it was still incredible.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. The opportunity to play in a major is one. Right, you're not going to play. You can't qualify for the Masters. You can't qualify for the other ones. But it's the U.S. Open that you can qualify for, and I like that aspect of it. That anybody can play. We could have Francis Ouimet can come out here and know the course and tear it up, and just be some little no name that's gonna change the world or change his career, create his legacy, and that's like you said, the emotions of that as you hear, hey, you're going to the U.S. Open next week. That must be an enormous wave washing over
it
you.
was like such an emotional roller coaster day because obviously the day is so draining, and then when you're playing well, you're kind of more, you're more aware of what's going on. Although, like I said, being in the first group, I really didn't know, but I had an idea. And as I watched it play out throughout the day, I just kind of had a feeling that I still thought it was going to be one short when I got done. And that was probably the most deflating feeling to have played well enough to be that close. And, just to get it done was like I said, it was just the craziest, like out of body experience. And, it was, it was great. And then in 2016, I ended up being on the other side of it. I ended up being a second alternate, lost in a playoff and, didn't get into Oakmont. So like I've seen both sides of it and I've also played in years where I haven't even been close. So
I think back in 2015, I think I've even, when I was doing some research, correct me if I'm wrong, were you hitting balls on the range next to Tiger? Yeah,
I
that's
was.
yeah. I listen. I'm looking through some pictures, and I'm like, wait, this thing pops up. And I'm like, wait, are they saying this is Pat Wilson and that's Tiger right the fuck behind him?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
was.
that was probably one of the highlights of the week, and it wasn't even on the golf, like it was obviously on the range, but just to be in presence of what shaped the game and probably why most of us play the game was probably one of the coolest experiences. Talk about an out of body experience, but it was yeah, that was pretty bizarre because it just didn't seem like real life.
Did you
Do we
talk?
talk to Tiger?
That's exactly right. Like, was there like, hey, I know you have no clue who I am, but like, I just gotta shake your hand. Like, is there any of that, or you just like? I know, like, I mentioned this a couple times to other people. Like, I look at you guys as like PGA Tour guys. Like, you guys, when I hear your names, like, I know who you are. I've seen your names be very successful and things. So like when I was at the State Open and I'm hitting balls between like Tyler Hall, Brian Gaffney, Jason Gore, these guys, I'm like literally sculling shots and then just turning around and watching you guys, and I'm like, these guys are really good, and the sound is different, their preparation's different, and I'm just that guy just like watching them where I should be warming up. Like, I obviously that's probably not what you're thinking because you're way better than I am, but like, is that like, like when you look at Tiger, is that
How much of a fanboy are you with
yeah, I
Tiger
guess
next
that's
to you?
kind of my question.
It was pretty much like it's so odd because I remember it so vividly. It was Wednesday afternoon. My brother was caddying for me, and I had just played some like unbelievable practice rounds. Like, it's really cool how you can just play with pretty much whoever you want on that's in the tournament in the practice rounds. It's basically like going to your local club and just writing your name down with other people. And I had played earlier in the week with Keegan and DJ and Jason Duffner. That was probably the highlight of my practice rounds. That was, I think, on like Monday or Tuesday. And then Wednesday afternoon came around, and I definitely played way too much golf throughout the week. Like, I was kind of trying to soak it all in, and I kind of wore myself out a little bit. I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to be playing. I wanted to be at the course like all day, which was a mistake looking back, but just kind of soaking it all in. And it was Wednesday afternoon, and it was late, and there was nobody there. Like, it was just me. I just gotten done, and I was just starting to get a little antsy for Thursday. And so I just was like, I just want to go hit some balls before Thursday just to kind of like reset a little bit. And I'm hitting balls. The range has got to be 100 yards long, and I'm right smack in the middle. There's nobody there, nobody in the grandstands, nothing, because who wants to watch me hit balls? I wouldn't either. So who's this no-name guy? So basically I'm just hitting balls. My brother's there caddying. He's just watching me hit balls. My dad had just left to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I start hearing people screaming Tiger's name. I don't even know where they were, but the grandstand blocks the range. So you have to walk around to get to the range. And all of a sudden he walks around the grandstands and starts walking right towards me. And, the range has probably 100 spots. And I turn around and I said, where do you think he's going to, set up shop and start hitting balls? And they're like, probably right next to you. I'm like, there is no way. There's no chance that's going to happen. And sure enough, he literally walks to the spot right next to me, drops his bag, starts hitting balls. I'm like, I can't even speak. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't even talk. I felt like I was like with a larger than life figure. And I forgot my best friend was there with me too. And like, we were just all in awe. Like, we just wanted to watch him hit balls. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to be fangirling. I don't want to be, I got to be kind of professional here. And, so probably my biggest regret was not saying something, but I physically couldn't speak. And had I been hitting it poorly, I probably would have just left. But I was like, this is a great time to hit balls in front of somebody that, the best of all time. And sure enough, within 10 minutes, the grandstands were full. I have no, like, it was just the two of us hitting balls, like, for probably 45 minutes, and neither of us said a word to each other. That's probably one of my bigger regrets, is just not being able to speak, but I physically couldn't speak. And I would have just picked up and left if I wasn't hitting it well. But I also tried to really embrace that moment. But it was pretty surreal. And I know it was definitely when he was probably playing his worst golf of his career, I would say. But to say you're 1-for-1 against Tiger in a major is pretty cool. So I'm gonna take that to the grave with
me. So you go from this guy who can't even say hello to him or give him a fist bump or like, hey, good luck this week, to then beating him by a stroke.
One shot
in that open.
And that's pretty much towards the end of the, when I knew I wasn't going to make the cut and made double on 13 for the second day in a row. I asked my brother, I said, what did Tiger finish at? And he told me, and I was like, all right, well, we have a new goal now. See if we can beat him. And it came down to the last hole, one stroke. So I'm going to take that one to the grave. But it was just an unbelievable experience. I mean, it just couldn't have been more fun to just actually experience it. And, it's just a big confidence boost too. I mean, to play with the best players in the world and, be on that side of the ropes is pretty exciting and kind of hard to describe.
So real quick,
I think that's got to
go ahead, Ryan, go.
I was just going to say, I think that's got to put Tiger into perspective even more, because the circus that goes with him, like we talk about how much pressure Tiger's under and all that, but this circus, like you're there by yourself hitting balls, and then all of a sudden you said there's thousands of people watching you hit balls. And that's got to put even into perspective more so what he goes through on a daily basis with all of, just the masses that follow him is crazy.
It's insane. I could not believe, because like I said, there wasn't a soul there. And, within 10 minutes, live from On the Golf Channel's rolling. I mean, I got done with that range session. I couldn't even tell you how many pictures that people took from, it was just live from coverage of Tiger hitting balls, and I just happened to be there. And, it was pretty crazy. I mean, the grandstands were packed, and, just the following and, what he's done for the game and what he's done for golf in general. I mean, it's the scope and the amount of people that he's touched is like pretty incredible, and inspired people to play.
You know damn well that we're all, even if we're just finished, I'm going to hit one more ball, and you hit that ball, and you put the club in the bag, and you're getting ready to walk away, and Tiger's walking up and puts his bag next to you, you're going to keep going until he's done with his range session.
Totally.
Because that's just the best thing that could ever happen. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it's kind of surreal, but it feels like it was yesterday at the same time. Like I'll never forget that. And it was just so vivid in my mind, because it's just one of the cooler experiences I've ever had on the golf course.
And before we fast forward to today, where we're at in our game and some of the accolades we got going on, obviously we had someone reach out and said, Mike, you got to get Pat on. He's got to tell you the Scotty Cameron story, the putter, before he actually started the U.S. Open at Chambers Bay. Like, he put a brand new putter in the bag. And I guess I'm stunned that a guy is going to, like, of your caliber, is putting a brand new putter in the bag before the tournament begins. Give us a little background on that story.
First of all, it wasn't smart. But so I qualified. I was playing at the time. I was playing all Titleist, and the only club in my bag that I wasn't using that was Titleist, I was using an Odyssey 2-ball putter. And I qualified, and I was like, well, when I go out to the U.S. Open, I gotta scoop some new wedges, and got to get like a couple circle tees or something. And so I meandered over to the tour van, and they it's kind of like, try out whatever you want, let us know what you think, and we'll take it from there. And so I fell in love with one that I saw, and I was like, all right, I love this thing. So they were like, are you going to put it in play this week? And I was like, I'm planning on it, which looking back was not very smart, because I had 39 and 36 putts for the first two rounds at Chambers Bay, and shot 79, 76. So you could tell the putting stats weren't too good. But yeah, it was probably not the smartest decision, but I did leave with two new putters, and still to this day, the one has a lot of, it's just kind of like as we were talking about, memorabilia piece. It's just something that I want to use it all the time, but it doesn't always make putts for you, even though it's got that circle tee on it. It doesn't make you putt any better. I try to tell people that all the time, but it is cool. And yeah, so I did leave with some stuff, and got some wedges ground, some new wedges. Bob Vokey actually made me a set of wedges, which was pretty cool, which were needed out there because the grass is so firm, and I had higher bounce on my wedges than you needed out there. And I haven't used those wedges since, because the leading edge is so sharp on it. Like, you got to have certain conditions for it. So those are still sitting at my parents' house, actually. Probably just collecting dust, but I'll never get rid of those either. But that was pretty cool to meet him and have him build wedges.
They played in the U.S. Open, so there's those are memorabilia. Yeah.
Just good enough for a trunk slam.
Matera's Italian Market and Catering Company is located in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey, at 72 Park Avenue, and has everything you need for an authentic Italian table. Recently celebrating its 10-year anniversary, Matera's Italian Market brings all your senses alive as you walk in the door. Imported retail products, cheeses, and cold cuts, freshly baked bread, and the creamiest fresh mozzarella. All can be ordered on the Matera's On Park app in Apple and Google stores. Above the market, a private space called The Loft can be reserved for intimate family parties all the way to corporate events. So give them a follow on Instagram at Matera's Italian Market. Stop by and say ciao. Matera's, you'll walk in a stranger, leave as family. So now we get to 22. Like, obviously I'm pressing the fast forward button immensely here, but I guess in terms of like your professional career, it didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. So like now, if I correct me if I'm wrong, did I see that you also had like back injuries as well, which kind of like maybe slowed the process or slowed you to where you may have wanted to go, and then you decided to get, and then your amateur status like reinstated? Like, kind of tell me that process there.
Yeah, so I had like conditional status on like the Latin tour and the Canadian tour like early on, because I wanted to try to get status on a tour that had, some sort of PGA Tour sanction, and benefits to maybe advancing your career. And I got like conditional on Latin and Canada, but not very good. And that was in 2014, I think. And, I was just playing like mini tour stuff. And then I made it through first stage of Q School for, at the time, the web.com tour in 2014. First time I went to Q School, I made it through first stage, and I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. And then the day before I left for second stage, which was in Dallas in November. So as you know, up here, the weather's not very good. I was playing through October, but I wasn't like, in Florida or anything. And I was in the backyard, and my brother at the time, he was probably like 12 or 13, and he was shooting hoops. So like, I just literally grabbed the ball, took a shot, and it felt like somebody took a baseball bat to my back, and I was leaving for second stage Q School the next day. And I didn't even have time to go to a doctor or anything. And when I got to, I was in Austin for a week before visiting a friend, and I could barely walk. So I was like, I had to go see a doctor, and I found out that I had a herniated disc, and it just kind of was lingering. And at Q school, second stage, I was really hobbling around and didn't play great, didn't make it through, and was just kind of battling the back injury for like here and there. But when I got home, I got a shot that helped it for sure, but it was never quite right. And so I was playing mini tour stuff for a couple of years, and then I just I wasn't going to Florida because I was trying to rehab my back a little bit, and I just kind of realized I wasn't as far along as I had hoped I would be, and I was hoping that I would have been a little bit further, like had status somewhere, and like, maybe on the web.com tour at the time. But it's just so hard to get out there, and you just have to be playing really well. It just goes to show how good everybody is that's out there. And guys are really good, and they're very talented, and it's just a matter of time until they get out there. And I didn't want to be, I said if I was 30 and I still didn't have status, I was done. And so towards the tail end, I was only, I could hardly play anything in the section because the state open I couldn't play because I wasn't a club employee. So I could play like US Open qualifying and Med Open qualifying, or in the Med Open. And so I decided that I was probably I was talking to some of my contacts from caddying growing up, and I thought I'd get into a role where maybe I could do something where golf is an asset to me. And I kind of fell into insurance, I guess October of 2019. So a couple months before the pandemic. And kind of at that point, I was like, I'm ready to just let the whole pro dream go, especially working full time. It was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm play maybe one event and maybe make, you win the Med Open, you win some good money, but you're not, I'm not practicing. I'm not sharp enough to do that. So, so that's kind of how it went. And I wrote my letter to the USGA to be reinstated. And a year and a half later, I sat out and got my amateur status back. I guess it was December of 21. So going into last season. So that's kind of what led me back to it.
How does that work? I know, Mike, you want to get into like the 2022, but how does that work? You write a letter and then you have to sit out for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Hey, USGA, I don't want to be a professional anymore.
Essentially, that's pretty much how it goes. Yeah. You kind of write a letter to them saying, I want to be reinstated as an amateur. I'm no longer going to be playing professionally. And they'll send you back a note saying like, all right, well, you played for this long, and they probably look to see how much money you've made. I mean,
there's like a formula or something, but
yeah, it's usually, I think they said it used to be if you played professionally for under 5 years, it was like 1 year, and that was it. Unless, I mean, I'm sure there's other situations where guys have made a ton of money and, maybe it's a little bit longer, but they kind of prorated after 5 years. So I was just over the 5-year mark. So it was a year and a half for me. I don't know, however it works on their end, that's kind of how it works. And they just say, okay, so you'll be reinstated. We'll let you know when you're reinstated. But they kind of gave me a time frame for when that would be. So it was perfect to start last year getting my amateur status back and being like, not like mid-year where it's, kind of missed some early tournaments and then play the tail end of the season. So it worked out well, actually.
Right, we gotta figure out if we can write a letter to the USGA to become a pro. Like, I just like to be a pro.
Yeah.
My handicap index
Sign
is
up tomorrow.
12.9.
It's not really as much as you would think. Like, I know everybody, people who are more casual golfers or golf fans, like they think like there's like some sort of magic equation to being a pro, but it's really, you just sign up and say I'm a pro today. I'm playing for money, and that's really it. Like, but then
wait, if that's simple, you don't have to like qualify for there's not like, you don't have to hold like a certain handicap or.
No, I mean, if you want to go the club pro route, it's a little bit different where, there's like the PAT that you have to take to
It's like
get
a
your PGA
PAT plus,
certification.
plus like a like kind of like
And
a
a
pro
written
shop. Yeah, like you got to like
Yeah.
understand how to run like a business type thing.
The
Yeah.
business, yeah.
And that was an avenue that I kind of thought about doing, but I just wanted to really enjoy golf and, all the great things that it brought to me. I didn't want it to feel like work. And, I want to go there to enjoy it. And that was just kind of the decision that I made. But, I miss it every day. Trust me, when I'm sitting in an office for 8 hours, I'm like, wow, I really wish I was, but you always want what you can't have, right? I mean, it
Right.
just, it always, and it just seemed to work out. And it's definitely, I'm glad that I made the choice that I did, because now I can really get back to really enjoy playing like the amateur circuit and still be competitive. And I don't really practice that much anymore, but I just enjoy competing. And that's really what, it just, and it's something fun. Like I do it on the weekends, like, to hang out with friends and stuff like that. So it's been great.
Yeah, and you still play at a
That's
very
good.
high
Get
level.
back to the roots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of came full circle.
So let's get into 2022, because obviously that ends up being the first full year in terms of you getting your amateur status back, and I read off those accolades at the very top, and obviously I'd probably think like the Met Mid-Am winning that thing is a very big deal, but qualifying for the USGA Mid-Am is a super big deal. I think like when you look at like next level type things like the NGSJ is one area, and then you can step it up to the Met, and then obviously now we're going to talk a national tournament. So like getting into that tournament and qualifying for that, nonetheless, is a huge accomplishment. And then getting to the round of 64 is an even bigger one, because obviously you've played 36 holes, your score's low enough to qualify. What was that experience like? I'm dying to hear a story or two from there. Because it's remarkable, and to some extent, I guess, do you feel like there's a scarlet letter on you, like you're that guy that was the pro to then you came back, or have people like embraced you? Because I guess maybe to some extent, do people look at you that way at all?
Well, it depends. I mean, it seems like people are just a lot of guys give me a hard time. They're like, you should still be, you're still a pro or whatever. But honestly, if you see how little I practice and, I like competing. That's really it. And, it's not that there aren't, like, there's still really good players in this area, New Jersey and the Met section. Like some of the better players, it's amazing. You have a shorter season than most, and the players are that good. And, so yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit, they kind of give me a hard time, but honestly, it's not like I'm practicing all day and, I'm playing amateur events. Like I'm working and, I'm trying to fit a schedule that I can. And thankfully my schedule's flexible enough that I'm able to do that. But it's just like a different perspective. And, I really enjoy the competition aspect. If that weren't the case, I probably wouldn't play these tournaments, but it's just fun to get those juices flowing again. Cause it's what I grew up doing and what I wanted to do. I guess it's not like what I did growing up, but like, I played a lot of golf, but I kind of honed my skills to get to a level that I got to. And, it's fun to compete still.
Yeah, I saw your
but
handicap.
yeah,
Your handicap is a plus 4.5, Rye. I mean, we're no joke over here, Rye.
Ooh,
We would be getting a ton of shots from him.
that's
I need to post a couple like 83s.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
I'll tell you what.
Somehow those magical 65s,
Yeah.
65s turns into 83s. Meanwhile, he's winning tournaments down at Medalist. Like, it ain't added up over here.
No.
That thing needs to, I might be getting a shot a hole at this point.
Oh, stop.
Hold on, Mike. You joke about that. I'm legitimately getting a shot a hole, maybe more.
Yeah, I don't like net events. I don't like net events. But
so let's go into the four.
You want to lower that? You want to lower that handicap, Pat? Play with me. I'll bring you to my level.
Anytime, Ryan.
Let's go into the Mid-Am. Okay. And give the audience a story or two about that experience out at Erin Hills, because that's where it was, correct?
Yes, it was. Both courses were phenomenal. Actually, the sister course, Blue Mound, was off the charts good. It really exceeded my expectations. It's an old Seth Rayner, really good, like old school track that you'd kind of see like around here. Like it kind of reminded me of like Sleepy Hollow a little bit, just not as dramatic. It was spectacular. Yeah, it was great. I mean, besides the fact that we played, I'm trying to think, we had perfect weather for practice rounds, and then we played the first round. I played the first round at Blue Mound, which was the sister course, and I hadn't played a USGA event in a couple of years, so there were definitely some nerves, on the first tee and first couple holes, and I I actually got off to a pretty slow start. I think I turned in 3 over on my first 9 and just kind of sloppy, and then made 9 pars on the back 9. So I shot 3 over in the first round with 0 birdies. And I was like, all right, I'm due to make a birdie at some point. And then the weather was coming in, playing Erin Hills the next day, which is a much longer golf course. They had it probably, I think it was like 7,400 and change. So it was pretty long. And in the practice rounds, it wasn't bad because it was super firm. So you were getting a lot of roll. And we played our first 9 holes, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, we played 9 holes. Oh, I'm trying to think. So there was a weather delay in between. That's right. Because we hadn't played. Oh, now I'm really trying to figure this out. Sorry. Yeah, that's what it was. It rained a ton after the first round, and we didn't play golf for like 2 days. They got 9 inches of rain in like 48 hours. So we didn't play for like 2 days. And then we teed off. We played on, no, sorry guys, I'm trying to just piece this together. Trying to think. Well, whatever it was, we either played 9 holes and then got called off due to darkness. That's why I think, yeah, we didn't play. So the courses were underwater, so they couldn't play for like a day and a half. So I only got to play 9 holes. I think this was on like Sunday, and it started on like, I want to say whatever the day was. We played 9 holes, and I made 9 pars at Erin Hills. So I'm at like 3 over, and I was like, all right. I mean, due to make a birdie at some point, and I was kind of checking scores after a while because there was nothing else to do, but nobody was playing. But I was just kind of figuring in my head what I thought the number was going to be. So finally, once we get back out there, I had 9 holes to play, and I was literally like right on the cut line at 3 over. I made 6 pars to start, and birdied my 34th hole for my first birdie of the tournament, and so I got to 2 over, and I was telling my caddy, I'm like, once I make one, they usually come in bunches. So I birdied 7, and I could actually breathe again because I was like, all right, I got like a 1-shot cushion, but I don't want to live on that number because it could change. And so I ended up, I birdied 7, which is a par 5, and then 8, I had just missed the green short, and I was like, oh, it's a pretty easy chip, and I chipped it in. So then I got it back to 1 over, and I just had the 9th hole, which is the 9th hole, which is like that postage stamp par 3 to just get in. So I was just like, just get it on the green and just make a par and get out of here. So that I ended up playing very well the second round, even though it took like 2 days to complete. So it was tough living and dying on that like cut line. So yeah, I shot 73, 69, and I think there was a playoff at 3 over. So it was really exciting, and played with some great guys, and we the other guy did make match play as well, so that was helpful to kind of play with somebody else who was playing well as well. But Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I mean, it's such an interesting dynamic playing in like a mid-am, um, having played like other USGA events. Like back in the day, I played the USAM at Cherry Hills in 2012, and then obviously the US Open. So just seeing like the difference in how guys are preparing for events at different levels is pretty crazy because so I think somebody tweeted it, but it was so perfect. I mean, there's guys out there treating it like the Masters. They're like literally like so serious. They got their TrackMan out, the whole thing, grinding, hitting balls for hours. There's other guys sitting on the patio having beers, and then there's other guys like on work calls. So like it's just a crazy, it's like a crazy dynamic, like because most of the guys are they work and they got to take some time off of work to play this event, and so it was just really cool to see that. But like having ropes up, and it's not like there were a ton of spectators in the early rounds, but I mean, friends and family or whatever, but it's just cool to like be in that environment in like a USGA atmosphere. It just is another level of like awesome.
I mean, and you didn't play poorly either. Once you qualified, once you got into the round of 64, like I pulled up the scorecard, like you played solid. There wasn't anything that like when I looked at the scorecard that like was like, oh man, he made like a 6 or 7, or he got on a bogey train. Like the other guy made a few more birdies, and I probably would say that was the difference in the round of 64.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, and due to the rain delay, we played 10 holes in our match the first day. And the guy I played, he bombed it. Actually, another guy that works in insurance. It seemed like there were quite a few of them out there, and like insurance or financial planners, it seemed like, or then the occasional finance guys. But he bombed it, and he just putted well. Like he was just like solid tee to green, and like anytime I thought I had a chance to like pick up a hole or something, he just seemed to make like a clutch putt or something. And I didn't play great, but I was like through 9 holes, I wasn't really playing all that well. But I think I was 2 down, and then on 10, and I hadn't won a hole through 9 holes, but I'm 2 down. And then 10, they blew the horn as we teed off. And I said, "Do you want to finish this hole or not?" And he's like, "Why don't we just finish the hole? Whatever. We'll start a hole fresh tomorrow." I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect." And I hit a really good shot into 10. It was right on line. And then he hits it right on my line. And I'm like, "Oh boy, I hope he's not closer than me, because I'm going to be giving him the line." And I happen to be just like about a foot or two inside of him. He missed his, and I made. So I felt like I had momentum going into, the second half of our match the next day. I'm only 1 down through 10, not playing great. And I'm like, all right, so we can start fresh. I finally won a hole. Maybe I'll, not sleep as well. And I was kind of jacked up. And I remember when we teed off on 11, he airmailed the green after his second shot, and I hit it on the green below the hole. And he has this really, really tough, like, he putts it. It was like off like a collection area, and he putted it down to probably like 10 feet beyond the hole because it was just so fast. I'm like, oh, I got a chance to pick up a hole here. And I missed. I conceded par, and he makes. And I was just like, man, this guy just doesn't miss. And
It's not going away.
Just kind of set the tone. And then he made like a bomb on me on 13 for birdie. And at that point, I was a little deflated because I felt like I had chances, but ultimately didn't go my way. But it was a great experience. He was a good guy, and he ended up making it to the semifinals.
Yeah, he took down Stu Hagestad. He beat him in the round of 16.
And Scott Harvey back to back.
He made it to the final four. I was doing my research. I saw like, all right, let me see. He wasn't wasn't like some guy at the local club that had a couple good rounds. Like, he flat out can golf, beating, you guys, you and Stu and all these other guys, just to make it to the final four of this event is no joke.
No, it was pretty serious. And he was impressive. So obviously he played well the rest of the way.
He's
And
from
I
North.
was
You
like,
know, he's from
maybe
North Dakota. I didn't even know they golfed in North Dakota.
he's from North Dakota, and he sounded like he's from North Dakota with
Oh
his
wow,
accent.
there you
But
go. I didn't know they had golf in
yeah,
North
he's
Dakota.
I didn't either, but he looked like he was a football player. He's a big dude and hit it a mile, so it kind of added up. But yeah, he was a good guy, and I was glad, glad he made a nice run because it would suck to lose to a guy who, maybe just got hot and then didn't, then kind of shit the bed the next day. But obviously he's a good player, and to beat those guys is really impressive.
Yeah, and then so again, and then continuing the 2022 trend, I saw that you and your buddy Brad were the medalists at the USGA four ball qualifying with the tournament that'll take place. Correct me if I'm wrong, but May, basically next month at Kiowa.
Correct.
Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like now we're talking two big time golfers heading out to Kiowa. Like, what do you and Brad feel like we got a legit chance to knock some doors down out there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like overly confident, but we've been saying to each other that we're going there to win. So, and I mean, with him as a partner, it's you know, it could have a much worse partner, and he's a stud player, and we became really fast friends actually from like we knew each other prior from like MGA stuff, but we basically like hung out the entire time at the Mid Am together, and that's kind of where it all formulated. And yeah, we have pretty high hopes for the four ball. I mean, obviously you can run into a buzzsaw, but I think if we both play solid, like we actually have a legitimate chance to like do some damage in the tournament. And we were talking about it before I got on the phone with you guys, and we're super jacked up for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, great golf course. You know, I saw you guys shot 64 in the qualifier, so clearly the birdies are out there for you two to put together. You're playing well too, from what I see. So, like, God, we might have to get you both on after you two fucking go out and win the USGA four ball. I mean, my
That
God.
that would be a treat. I think you guys would enjoy that.
I'll tell you, we'd like to interview the winner, but even if you don't, we want to hear the experience.
No doubt.
You
Absolutely.
guys should definitely come on after. That'd
Oh yeah,
be
we
awesome.
can we can tag team it for sure.
All right, so Pat, obviously we like to end with two specific questions, and I always go first because I kind of think Ryan's is better than mine. But obviously, our goal as golfers here in the Garden State is to travel the state, play golf, talk golf, and really enjoy it as much as we can. Is there a certain course that we like to ask our guests, specifically here in New Jersey, like maybe a public and a private spot that, like, if you got the opportunity to go play, you got to kind of drop what you're doing and go play that private spot, and maybe just a public spot that like anybody can go kind of tee it up at?
I would say, well, obviously there's one course in South Jersey that if you get the invite to go to, private one, you should drop everything and go. That's not really a very easy invite to get.
We usually take that one off the table.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured. The one thing that we're so blessed with in New Jersey is honestly like we have some of the best courses. I mean, arguably one of the best in the country, in the state. It's just amazing. Like there's just so many courses. It's just incredible. I would say a public course. I'm not as familiar with like South Jersey as I am Northern New Jersey, but in North Jersey, I would say a course that I loved playing growing up is Ballyowen. From the public standpoint, it's a cool like link style course, and I haven't played there in a couple years, but like every time I go there, I always enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and it's just it's probably, I don't know what their rates are now, but I mean it's a treat. Like not really like it's kind of link style, which is cool because you don't really see a whole lot of that in New Jersey. But it's a great course. I recommend it if you've never been there. I would go check it out for sure. It's definitely one of my favorite public courses. And then I guess from like the That's a really tough question. Private course wise, I would
Take
say
Hamilton Farm out of the equation too.
no,
You
no,
can't
no,
you can't
no.
give me that one.
I was gonna take Hamilton out of that one. But I would say in South Jersey, if you get an opportunity to play, Galloway is awesome. It's really fun. It's kind of close to AC if you like doing the gambling aspect, but it's a really good golf course. It's really hard though, so that's one thing I do really like Galloway. And then I would say, when people ask about like the North, it's just tough. Like I would say there's like three that really stand out to me. I would say Ridgewood, Mountain Ridge, and Arcola are like three that I just absolutely love playing every time I get the opportunity to. As much as I love, Baltusrol, and there's just so many good ones, but those are ones that you might not think of like right away. And I know Ridgewood got a lot of notoriety, and Arcola, I guess, from the USAM last year, but like it's pretty tough to beat any of those spots. I mean, they're just top notch, and it's just always a great day there.
Yeah, those
Well,
are
I
courses.
like
Those
it.
are courses. Those are good ones. Those are definitely good ones.
I like that like it's easy to sell out and just say like, oh, Baltusrol and Liberty National, like those are the obvious ones. I feel like Arcola is one maybe I don't give enough respect to, but I don't ever think of it on like the Ridgewood, Baltusrol, Liberty National, Bayonne. Like I just don't equate it with that. Maybe that's on me to start doing that. But you're the second or third person to say Arcola as one over some of those. So that's
Yeah, there are multiple people. Multiple people have definitely
Yeah.
said Arcola, and I don't know if they're taking up that pathway, Rye, about like they want to say something different. But it is truly Arcola is sometimes just like how Pat just said it. Like it's like the first one that comes out of their mouth. Like
Yeah, it's just like always, like every time I go there, it's in perfect shape. Greens are like tournament speed. It's like, and there's so many good players that are members there, which is makes it even that much better. They've just done so much good work there, and I'm telling you, Mountain Ridge is a sleeper. It might not be, but I think it is, and I don't think it gets as much love as it deserves. But it's amazing.
So, Pat, I don't know if you've been following, but we've been doing like a March Madness style,
Yeah,
North versus South. And one of the courses that we had on there was Berkshire Valley that I don't know anything about, and Mike doesn't either. So, as someone from up there, is that course? Should we have given it more love? What's your take on Berkshire Valley?
I like it. I was really impressed. I've only played it once, and I was really like truly impressed by it. Like for a public course, and it was in great shape. It's a good layout too. I mean, I want to say the first two holes are kind of cut up like against the side of a hill. It's kind of like mountainous, but I mean, besides that, it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and I don't know. I feel like I played it early in the year, and it was still in great shape. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat like the Shannock for a public course that's like you know pretty reasonably priced too. The Shannock's really good.
Mike nodding his head there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Neshannock a lot too. But yeah, I mean there are some good public courses, but I did like Berkshire. I did.
Pat, being someone that plays obviously at such a high level, playing in the pros and now getting your amateur status and playing in all that comes with that, what are some and to kind of like caveat it, I think golfers are superstitious by nature, and we have our own little quirks or habits or whatever you'd like to call them. What are some that you have going into a tournament that are some must-haves for you? Whether it's a certain amount of tees or even number balls or this or that. Like we've had a whole bunch of different answers. What are some of your again quirks or superstitions that you have on the golf course?
I'm not really as like OCD as I might be at times. I actually don't have like I don't have like an odd or even number ball or anything like, or actually a number of tees. But the only thing that I do make sure that I do every single time I mark my ball is it's got to be heads up. It's always got to be heads up. That's pretty much it. and just cleaning the crap out of my clubs. Like they look spotless after like every shot I hit.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
simple.
funny that like
I like
some
that.
people,
simple.
simple.
It's my type of guy.
We've had people that are like, oh, I got to have 4 tees in my right pocket, a ball marker in my left. So Mike tried it, and he shot 44 with it. He's like, I'm never doing this again.
No, it's not. I mean, there's obviously a number of tees that could be a burden, but I don't want to run out of tees either. I know some people that only have like 1 in their pocket, but I don't want to be running back to the bag to get another tee. So I don't know. I just have enough that's going to last me for the round, but the ball's always got to be marked heads up regardless.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Pat, we're a Jersey podcast, a Jersey golf podcast, talking about New Jersey, and there's a great debate here in New Jersey about a particular kind of breakfast meat, and we'd be remiss if we didn't get your answer on what this particular breakfast meat is called. And as I already texted Mike my answer because I got yelled at for saying that I know. I know what you people up in Sussex County call it, but for the audience, what are you calling that particular breakfast meat?
It's Taylor ham.
Yeah. See, Mike, again, I hate to toot my own horn, but the kid knows these things. There is.
That's the cutoff, and Mike. You are on the pork. You're on the pork roll side. We're Taylor ham up by me.
Listen, if we get together and play, right? I will bring you a pork roll and cheese.
When we get
together and play, I'll bring you a pork roll and cheese, and you'll be like, you know what? I'm coming over to the dark side, and I'm calling it pork roll.
That's fine. I would gladly take one, especially before I'm going to go out and have a couple adult beverages on the course.
Like I said, I'm going to bring it down to my level.
But listen, I appreciate. Listen, all things serious. Listen, thank you so much for responding when we reached out to have you come on the show, and then. Obviously we've talked for well over an hour with you about a lot of things, and we probably could go even longer. But if we don't get a chance to talk to you before you and Brad head out to Kiowa, best of luck. I hope you guys kill it. I hope you guys win, and after you guys do win, hopefully we can get you two on here together to tell us some crazy stories out there.
Oh, that would be awesome. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks, Ryan and Mike, for coordinating. It was awesome. I hope I didn't bore you with my stories, but it was a treat to be on.
Absolutely. Yeah, Pat, thank you for coming on, and best of luck.
Thank you, guys. Keep kicking ass. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, pal. Talk soon.
Sounds good.
Take care.
See ya.